Doctor Doom isn't just one villain. Across the Marvel multiverse, he's become a god, a king, a hero, and even the ruler of reality itself. But every version tells a different story of power, ambition, and destiny. Today, we're breaking down every version of Doctor Doom to find out what makes each one truly unforgettable. Not every Doom was driven by the same goal. Some wanted to save the world, others wanted to rule it, and a few gained power so unimaginable that even Marvel's strongest heroes stood no chance. Let's begin with a Doctor Doom who tried something no one ever expected. 10. Infamous Iron Man. For years, Victor Von Doom believed the only way to save the world was to control it. Then, everything changed. After the events of Secret Wars, Doom's face was finally healed, his kingdom had fallen, and Tony Stark was left in a coma following the Second Civil War. For the first time in his life, Victor stood at a crossroads. Instead of building another Doombot army or planning world domination, he made a decision that shocked the entire Marvel universe. Imagine opening the newspaper and seeing Victor Von Doom flying through the sky in Iron Man's armor, wearing a redesigned suit inspired by Tony Stark's armor. Doom began patrolling the streets, stopping criminals, and protecting innocent people. He even tried working alongside heroes who had spent years fighting him. But earning trust proved far more difficult than defeating enemies. Everyone questioned his motives. Was this genuine redemption, or simply another one of Doom's elaborate schemes? The answer wasn't even clear to Victor himself. Deep down, he wanted to prove he could become something greater than the man history remembered. Yet every challenge tempted him to fall back into the ruthless methods that had always brought him victory. Watching Doom struggle against his own instincts made this version unlike any other. His greatest battle wasn't against superheroes or cosmic beings. It was against the darkness inside himself. But redemption was never destined to define Victor Von Doom. Because the next version abandoned the idea of being a hero altogether and built a future where Doom's rule became the only law. 9. Doctor Doom, 2099. Trying to become a hero was the greatest gamble Victor Von Doom ever took. Set in Marvel's cyberpunk future, Doctor Doom 2099 awakens decades after the world thought he was gone. The future is almost unrecognizable. Mega corporations control governments, technology dominates everyday life, and ordinary people have become powerless under corrupt leaders. To everyone else, it looked like progress. To Doom, it looked like failure. Convinced that humanity had traded freedom for corporate greed, Victor set out to reclaim what he believed was rightfully his. But unlike the classic Doctor Doom, he wasn't interested in ruling a single country. He wanted to rebuild the entire world. Using advanced technology, unmatched intelligence, and an army of loyal followers, Doom challenged the corporations that controlled the planet. His victories quickly transformed him from a forgotten dictator into one of the most powerful figures of the 22nd century. Surprisingly, many ordinary citizens supported him. Why? Because despite his ruthless methods, Doom delivered results. Crime fell, corruption weakened, entire cities became safer under his rule, and for the first time, people began asking a dangerous question. Was Doom actually a better leader than the heroes? That moral uncertainty is what makes Doom 2099 so fascinating. He wasn't driven by revenge or blind hatred. He genuinely believed humanity needed a ruler strong enough to make impossible decisions, even if the world feared him for it. Of course, absolute power always comes with a price, and the next version didn't just dream of ruling the world. He actually succeeded. 8. Ultimate Doctor Doom. In Marvel's Ultimate Universe, Victor Van Dam wasn't the armored monarch fans had always known. He was reinvented as a brilliant scientist whose obsession with experimentation pushed him far beyond the limits of reason. A catastrophic accident left his body horribly transformed, but instead of breaking his spirit, it convinced him that the world itself was flawed. From that moment on, Doom stopped seeing himself as an ordinary man. He saw himself as humanity's next evolution. Unlike the classic Victor Von Doom, this version relied less on magic and more on advanced science, genetic experimentation, and terrifying biological technology. Every invention brought him closer to creating a world where only the strongest would survive. Heroes quickly discovered they weren't facing another power-hungry dictator. They were facing a scientist willing to rewrite life itself. His battles with the ultimate Fantastic Four revealed just how dangerous that philosophy could become. Every defeat only fueled his determination, making him more unpredictable and more ruthless with every appearance. This Doom proved that intelligence without morality can become even more terrifying than magic, because when a genius believes he should control evolution itself, the future becomes a very dangerous place. But the next version didn't need laboratories or experiments. He simply seized power and crowned himself Emperor. 7. Emperor Doom. In the legendary Emperor Doom storyline, Victor finally accomplished what countless villains had failed to achieve. Using the mind-controlling powers of the Purple Man, Doom placed nearly the entire planet under his command. Governments collapsed overnight, armies answered only to him, and resistance became almost impossible. For the first time, Earth truly belonged to Dr. Doom. Surprisingly, his reign wasn't built on endless destruction. Wars stopped, crime plummeted, economies stabilized. Millions of ordinary people experienced something they had never known before: global peace. That created an uncomfortable question for Marvel's greatest heroes. If the world was finally peaceful, did they have the right to overthrow him? Captain America, the Avengers, and the Fantastic Four knew Doom had stolen humanity's freedom, even if people were living safer lives than ever before. They weren't fighting to save a broken world. They were fighting for humanity's right to choose its own future. That's what makes Emperor Doom one of Victor's greatest victories. He didn't prove he was stronger than Earth's heroes. He forced them to question whether defeating him would actually make the world worse. But absolute control over one planet wasn't enough, because the next Dr. Doom set his sights on something infinitely bigger than Earth itself. 6. Doom the Annihilating Conqueror. Conquering Earth is impressive, but conquering entire civilizations is something else entirely. This version of Dr. Doom embraced one belief above all others. If the universe refused to accept his rule willingly, then it would be conquered by force. Armed with incredible technology, unmatched strategic brilliance, and armies capable of overwhelming entire worlds, Doom expanded far beyond Latveria. Every victory strengthened his empire, while every defeated civilization became another stepping stone toward universal domination. Unlike reckless conquerors who relied purely on overwhelming power, Doom treated every campaign like a perfectly calculated chess match. He studied his enemies, predicted their moves, and defeated them long before the first battle even began. That relentless planning made him almost impossible to outsmart. Even cosmic threats discovered that underestimating Victor Von Doom was often their final mistake. What made this version especially dangerous wasn't endless rage or blind ambition. It was patience. Doom never rushed. He waited until victory became inevitable. By the time his enemies realized what was happening, escape was no longer possible. His growing empire proved that intelligence could be far deadlier than raw strength. But despite conquering countless worlds, there was still one force in the Marvel Multiverse that even Doom hadn't completely mastered: reality itself. And the next version came closer than anyone could have imagined. 5. Dr. Doom. Marvel Zombies. In the Marvel Zombies universe, a horrifying virus transformed Earth's greatest heroes into flesh-hungry monsters. Within days, the Avengers, the X-Men, and even the Fantastic Four had fallen. Civilizations collapsed almost overnight, leaving the planet ruled by creatures that retained all their powers, but none of their humanity. While nearly every hero was infected, Dr. Doom wasn't. Hidden inside his armored castle, Victor immediately recognized the true danger. He sealed Latveria, fortified every entrance, and gathered the few surviving humans under his protection. For perhaps the first time in Marvel history, people looked to Dr. Doom as their greatest hope. Not because he was kind, because he was prepared. Doom studied the infection, built defenses that even zombie superheroes struggled to penetrate, and fought to preserve what little remained of civilization. But every victory came at an enormous cost. Eventually, even his kingdom began to fall as the infected grew stronger. Although this Doom remained ruthless, he never surrendered to panic. He proved that in a world where heroes became monsters, sometimes the world's greatest villain was humanity's last line of defense. But surviving the apocalypse wasn't enough, because the next Doom stopped thinking like a man and started thinking like a god. 4. Doctor Doom, Heroes Reborn. In the Heroes Reborn universe, Doctor Doom found himself in a world where history had been rewritten, and familiar heroes lived completely different lives. Instead of simply adapting to this strange new reality, Victor did what he always does. He searched for a way to control it. Every mystery became another puzzle to solve. Every powerful artifact became another weapon to claim. Doom wasn't interested in accepting the universe as it existed. He believed reality itself could be perfected if the right mind stood at the top. His confidence often bordered on arrogance. Yet time after time, his intelligence allowed him to uncover secrets that even Marvel's greatest heroes failed to notice. That's what separates Doom from almost every other villain. He doesn't wait for opportunities. He creates them. Even when reality changes around him, Victor somehow finds a path back to power. Kingdoms may fall. Universes may collapse. History itself may be rewritten. Doom always adapts. That relentless determination explains why Victor continues to survive events that erase countless other characters from existence. But adaptation alone couldn't prepare anyone for what came next, because the final 3 versions weren't simply powerful, they challenged the very foundations of the Marvel Multiverse. 3. Doom Supreme. Doom Supreme is exactly what happens when Victor Von Doom devotes himself entirely to the mystical arts. Instead of balancing technology with sorcery like the classic version, this Doom embraced magic as his greatest weapon, becoming one of the most feared spellcasters in the multiverse. His rise eventually placed him among the Masters of Evil, where he led a team of villains from different realities against Earth's mightiest heroes. But magic alone wasn't what made him terrifying, it was how intelligently he used it. Doom Supreme could manipulate dimensions, summon devastating spells, and reshape battles before his enemies even understood what was happening. Every confrontation became another carefully planned strategy, rather than a simple fight. Even experienced heroes struggled against someone who could outthink them and overpower them at the same time. That's always been Victor's greatest strength. Whether he wears armor or casts spells, Doom never relies on luck. He wins because he plans further ahead than everyone else. Yet despite commanding incredible mystical power, there was still one version who reached a level almost impossible to imagine. Because the next Doom didn't merely master reality, he became its ruler. 2. Doom the Living Planet. Becoming one of the greatest sorcerers in existence is impressive. However, becoming an entire world is almost beyond belief. In one of Marvel's strangest alternate realities, Doctor Doom evolved into something completely unlike the armored ruler fans had always known. He became a living planet. His consciousness stretched across an entire world, giving him control over everything that existed upon its surface. Mountains, cities, machines, and even the environment itself became extensions of Victor's will. Invading his kingdom no longer meant fighting an army, it meant fighting the planet itself. Every step an enemy took happened because Doom allowed it. Every structure could become a weapon. Every landscape could change without warning. The idea perfectly captures Victor's endless ambition. No throne is ever large enough. No kingdom is ever complete. No amount of power is ever sufficient. Even after transforming into something unimaginably vast, Doom's desire to rule never disappeared. But despite becoming an entire world, he still hadn't reached the absolute peak of his power. Because one final version accomplished something no one else in Marvel history had ever achieved. He didn't conquer reality, he recreated it. 1. God Emperor Doom. Every Doctor Doom we've covered wanted power. This one achieved it. After the Beyonders destroyed the Marvel Multiverse during Secret Wars, 2015, reality itself ceased to exist. Entire universes collided and vanished, leaving almost nothing behind. Almost. Using the unimaginable power stolen from the Beyonders, with the help of Molecule Man and Doctor Strange, Victor Von Doom performed the impossible. He rebuilt existence. The result was Battleworld, a patchwork universe created from fragments of countless destroyed realities. Every kingdom, every city, and every survivor answered to one ruler, God Emperor Doom. For the first time in Marvel history, Victor wasn't pretending to be a god. He truly possessed near-omnipotent power. He controlled time, space, life, and death. Entire realities existed only because he allowed them to. Even Marvel's greatest heroes stood virtually powerless against him. Yet despite holding everything he had ever wanted, Doom remained haunted by the same flaw that had defined him since the beginning, his pride. Deep inside, Victor knew there was one man who could have built an even better world: Reed Richards. That single doubt became the crack that ultimately shattered his perfect empire. Reed confronted Doom, exposed the insecurity Victor had spent his entire life hiding, and reclaimed the power needed to restore the Marvel Multiverse. Even so, God Emperor Doom remains the greatest version of Doctor Doom ever created, not because he wore the strongest armor or cast the greatest spells, but because, for one unforgettable moment, he became the most powerful man in all of Marvel. Doctor Doom has worn many faces across the multiverse, yet every version shares the same unshakable belief that only Victor Von Doom is worthy of deciding humanity's future. That's what makes Doom one of Marvel's greatest characters. Which version of Doctor Doom do you think was the most powerful? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more Marvel documentaries, and we'll see you in the next one.